Thank you all for coming today. My name is BWEHMAS. I am the HR manager here at SuperPACs. We are going over some delays that have occurred in the project so far. So unexpected events that have occurred, at SuperPACs we strive to have every project run as smoothly as possible, but often that isn't the case because projects are very long and projects are very, what's the word, um, ever changing, and there's many things that happen that are unexpected. So unfortunately, with this in mind, we have had some unforeseen circumstances arise. Today we will be covering what has taken place and how we can all work together to fix these problems without it affecting the overall project timeline. So the first issue that has arisen has been discovered that the refrigerator module for the backpack is too large for the design refrigerated backpack pouch. Obviously, this isn't ideal because this is going to affect pretty much every level of the production stage of the making the backpack, just because obviously with the refrigerator being too big and too large for the backpack, we're gonna have to redo a lot of that, so that's not ideal. But it should be addressed by redesigning the backpacks and recycling the old material to rebuild each product. And this is expected to affect budget, human capital, schedule, and resources. Refrigerator. So I let me backtrack a little bit here. So the first issue would be the budget impact. The refrigerator module being too large is expected to affect the budget of the operation pretty largely, just because obviously we're gonna have to reallocate the budget, or it's still our goal to keep it below the $1.5 million budget we were given. Just gonna be more of moving the money around as opposed to just adding more money, if that makes any sense. We set aside money for unforeseen circumstances such as this in the budget, so I mean this is gonna be part of what we did set aside for the budget. We did set aside in part of the budget this set amount of money for a circumstances just like this. So this is obviously it's not ideal, but we did expect this to happen. The main effect that it will take place is ramping up the amount of money being paid to workers for overtime and resources. So basically, we'll get more of this into human capital, but we're obviously in the short term going to have to ramp up the money being paid to our workers, because obviously we're going to have to kind of double time to get all of the backpacks ready to go for the first delivery date. And obviously we're going to have to get more resources, but hopefully we can recycle some of those resources, such as like the leather for the backpacks, and reuse them. And then, so the first issue is affected with human capital. Like I was saying, human capital or labor will be greatly affected in the short term due to this issue. Like the budget, it's like a short term thing. So the main effect is going to be overtime. It is the expectation that workers participate in this short term solution. It was in the project contracts for all of our employees that if need be, we would work overtime. Everyone would work overtime. It's a team battle, as we always say. So the plan is for the company to pay out employees for overtime and bonuses for meeting these requirements. The plan is to cut back hours in the future to help offset this pay increase. So obviously with overtime is time and a half. So whatever the employee is making, we will obviously take that and add 50%. So the goal is that in the short term, we will be able to add on maybe an extra 20 hours or so a week to help offset what has happened, and maybe just keep the project timeline at least going smoothly for now. And then hopefully, as like the project goes along, we can kind of cut back hours a little bit to help offset the increase that we have to do for pay, because obviously we have to keep it in the budget. Impact to schedule is with the most importance that we try to stay on schedule, as we said before. This may not be possible, but we have to strive, and it's important for senior management that we meet deadlines. Part of their expectation for the project was that we do meet all the deliverables and all the milestones, and obviously those are interdependent of each other, and they affect each other. This is before the initial deadline of the first 100 backpack delivery. We should try to meet that deadline. So with the like I said, with the human capital increase and the budget reallocation, it should be good to go. This goal will be met because of the overtime we will be in the human capital requirements, as stated before. This could potentially affect the future deadlines depending on labor requirements required to cut back hours. So for now, it's our main goal. It's just kind of short term looking forward, and we will worry about the future endeavor in the future. Lastly, resources. As we said before, the main driving force is going to be human capital, but allocating resources is going to be also key. This doesn't just include the materials needed to create the backpacks, but also the utilities such as electricity and internet for the increase in technical needs. Obviously, we're going to ramp up. That's going to be a little bit more higher bills, but also it's more of a thing where we're going to have to, hopefully, with us coming back on labor at the end, those will kind of offset each other. With the high labor, resources will be needed to be used more. This isn't to sacrifice efficiency. So obviously, we're not going to use energy just for the sake of using energy, but we're going to have to just, as I said, just work with what we can for now. One main type we will use is recycling the material from the defective backpacks and reusing it for the new design backpacks. So mainly trying to use what is we used before. Obviously, we're going to need a little bit more than what we have, obviously, because it's too small, and just keep reusing it. So the rest of the first issue. The second issue is the remodular subcontractor being shut down. So this is obviously not ideal. It's kind of something that, like I said, is out of our control, and this could be potentially devastating for the project life cycle, just because obviously this affects every part of because we can't fulfill the order without this part of the project. The backpack requested by the Army and the branches was to include a radio module in addition to the refrigerator. Like I said before, unfortunately, the subcontractor that creates these has shut down permanently. In this circumstance, it will obviously affect the budget, human capital, and schedule, as well as the company reputation. Budget changes for this unforeseen circumstance will mainly be unavoidable and will be vital. We are going to have to shell out some money here. It's not like we're going to just not spend the money, because obviously we lost our subcontractor, and obviously we'll get some of that money back, but it won't be ideal. The main budget change will be into finding a supplier of these radio modules and have them make them at a frequent pace to keep the project on track. So our goal is to kind of spend a lot of that money that we had set aside in our emergency fund for the budget to kind of like help with getting the radio modules in as fast as possible. So paying overtime for that subcontractor will be vital to meeting the first deadline. Same like the first issue, another human capital need will be it'll be kind of altered due to the radio module not being available. Seeing how it isn't available for the short term, we will have to mitigate production off of installing the radio modules. So installing them into the backpack won't be needed. So with the first issue, us having to add people, we're actually going to have to subtract people in the situation. So that actually could help offset the first issue, which will also help with the budget as well. The impact on schedule, when it comes to scheduling, we have to understand, like the other issues, we have to strive to stay on schedule. And, if we don't, like there's nothing we can do about it, but we still have to strive to, because this is very important for senior management. First, we'll have to accept that this will most likely delay initial deliveries slightly, just because we can't fulfill the order without this part of the project. So we have to mitigate this by putting all of our production on finishing the rest of the backpack, so we can simply put the radio module in and have a finished product. It's not really as simple as that, but our goal is to get the backpack and the refrigerator just ready to go, so that when we get the radio modules, we can just install them and be pushing them out right away. Lastly, reputational risk. It is something that is apparent in many instances in business, and it seems to kind of affect everybody. This situation can hurt our reputation. It can make it seem that we invest in poor investments in subdivisions. It's kind of the idea that although we know that we made the right decision, it's not going to be in some people's eyes that we made the right decision, if that makes any sense. So to help with this potential impact, we will have to show our customer we're serious about their business, and we'll have to give them information on the next subcontractor. So our goal is to talk to the U.S. Army and kind of say, like, this is something we not foresee happening. Here is the customer, and we were going to, try to find a very high-end one, so that we can kind of show them that we're serious about their business. In conclusion, unforeseen circumstances can be catastrophic to a project. However, we need to come together as a team and use the tools given to us to help us through these events. If we understand the potential impact of the unforeseen circumstances and how we can reduce the impact of these, we can surely succeed. Like I said, unforeseen circumstances are not something that are anyone's fault. They are things that happen in projects, like I said, because projects are long and projects are imperfect. And, with risks, there's not, it's important to minimize these as little as possible, but they are unavoidable. So it's important that we understand that. I thank you all for coming. Have a good day.